Oman, how many spices are in this thing? And welcome back to Cliffieland. This is week in country number 130 and our second attempt of cooking food of every single country in the world. And tonight we're up to the nation of Oman. Oman, located on the Arabian Peninsula, is bordered by Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates and shares maritime borders across the Arabian Sea with Iran and Pakistan. And its food is very interesting because it is a reflection of its long and storied history in that it had a great influence throughout not only the Arab world and across the Indian Ocean, but places as far south as Zanzibar in modern-day Tanzania. And all these flavors of those places work their way back into the food of Oman. So there's lots of different things involving curries and different dishes involving chicken and lamb and especially fish, which we're going to be seeing tonight. Now, trying to decide on what to cook for Oman last time was a little bit of an effort, so let's take a look and see how things went when we tried it before. Well, 4 years ago on the Global Cooking Challenge, it was pretty cool because it was the very first time I had ever live streamed a cook, and that makes it the first time that I can say I have officially cooked and live streamed the food from every country in the world after I did last week. But this time, 4 years ago, I cooked across 2 nights, and the first night I did the dish that we're doing here tonight. Now, according to my research, it was a Muscati favorite that is a favorite in the capital city of Oman, and it is called Kabuli Samak. Although at the time that I did it last time, the recipe said it was called Samak Kabuli, so I don't know. In any case, it's a spiced fish and rice dish. It came out quite nicely, and that's the one we're doing tonight with a different recipe because the first one kind of, vanished into the ether. The second night, though, was kind of interesting because I developed amnesia, and not for the first time. That time, I wound up doing a dish which is a favorite in the area, which is chicken makbous. Now, if that sounds familiar, it's because that's also the dish I did for Bahrain way back in week number 13. You can click the link up there to see how this went the second time around. Also, interestingly enough, the first time around, when I got to week number 81 and Kuwait, I developed amnesia and did it a second time. And when I did Oman this third time, I developed amnesia and cooked the makbous for a third time. And spoiler alert, I wound up doing it for Yemen too. I won't be making that mistake again. That is why we're doing this Kabuli Samak. Now, it looks really delicious, so we have to see what goes into that dish. For our Kabuli Samak, or spiced fish and rice, we'll need 3 cups of basmati rice, which will be soaked in salt water for up to an hour, 1 pound of tuna cut into bite-sized pieces, 5 onions, 1 quartered and 4 cut in half and sliced about 1/8 of an inch thick, water, half of a stick of cinnamon, half of a teaspoon of cloves, 2 teaspoons of coriander seeds, 1 teaspoon of cumin seeds, as well as another 1 1/4 teaspoons of cumin seeds, 1 teaspoon of ground turmeric, 1 teaspoon of ground ginger, 1 teaspoon of black peppercorns, 1 1/2 teaspoons of salt, 5 whole dried black limes, not lemons, 1 teaspoon of cardamom pods, ghee, 6 large garlic cloves minced, 3/4 of a teaspoon of ground cardamom, and 1/2 bunch of cilantro, finely chopped. Now, as you may see, that involves the dried black limes. They're an Omani favorite. If you can't find them in your area, look for a Middle Eastern store. If you can't, try to find it online. They're really great. They last for a good long time, and they are actually used in a number of different dishes throughout the area, so it's a good investment. So, that being said, we've got to get cooking.
In a large saucepan, place the quartered onion, cinnamon, cloves, coriander seeds, 1 teaspoon of the cumin seeds, the turmeric, ginger, black peppercorns, salt, and 1 dried lime cut in half, and 6 cups of water. Bring it to a boil and let it simmer for 20 to 30 minutes. Then add the tuna and simmer until done, about 10 to 15 minutes. Then remove the tuna and set it aside. Reserve the liquid and filter the reserved liquid through a fine mesh sieve and set that aside. Heat a heavy bottom pot and add 2 tablespoons of the ghee and the sliced onions and saute over medium heat. When the onions begin to soften, around 10 minutes, add the garlic and the remainder of the whole dried limes. Continue cooking and then add the cooked tuna when the onions begin to brown. Saute for about 10 minutes, and then remove the tuna and half of the onions and set that aside. It's okay if some fish bits are left behind. Add 1 more tablespoon of ghee to the pot and turn up the heat. Add the drained rice and stir. Then add the 3/4 teaspoon of ground cardamom and the 1 1/4 teaspoon of cumin seeds. Take 2 of the dried limes out, cut the dried limes in half, and then add them back to the pot. And then add the cardamom pods here, as the recipe doesn't indicate where they should go. Add 4 cups of the strained reserved liquid, just enough to cover the rice, and bring it to a boil. Reduce the heat to low, cover and cook until the rice is done, about 30 minutes. Remove the lid and fluff the rice, and add the reserved fish and onions to the top. Cover and let sit for 10 minutes. Garnish with the cilantro, and serve with lettuce and pickled vegetables.
How did that all turn out? Well, it was really delicious. It was very flavorful. It had those wonderful combination of spices, although any problems I had with it are kind of my fault. Starting with the texture. I think I may have let that rice soak a little bit too long because I felt it was a little bit too mushy, which kind of gave it kind of a more overall texture, which I think needed a bit of variety. If I was just doing this on my own, I'd probably add something like raisins for a bit of sweetness and maybe nuts for a little bit of crunch. But overall, it was really nice. My only other complaint, again, was a me thing, in that I think a couple of my spices might be a little bit too old and lacked some of the punch that they would have had otherwise. But it was a really lovely night. I'm going to give the Kabuli Samak 4 out of 5 globes. Really yummy dish. Looking forward to those leftovers this week. So that does it for our little stint here on the Arabian Peninsula. But next week we're getting our sailboat. We're going across the Arabian Sea to have the really delicious dish from Pakistan. See you then. And remember, if you'd like to see our streams live when they happen, follow us on Periscope or Facebook Live. Like and subscribe to be advised when these videos are posted. If you have any thoughtful feelings or helpful suggestions about the food that we're cooking, sound off in the comments. Remember, links to the original recipes, remember these aren't my recipes, are found in the About section. And tune in next time. Thanks for watching and happy eating!